BBC family, what's going on? This is Pastor D. Hope everyone is doing well. August the 8th, 2010, the Lord launched Bible-based Church Tallahassee into the now. And can you believe it? 11 years later, we're celebrating that God has been faithful to his word, to his vision, and to us, his people. I am so amazed and I'm so grateful that God keeps doing the things that God does. I am ever grateful to be entrusted as a herald of the message of Christ and as a pastor of God's beloved people. We're celebrating not just that we made it to 11 years, but we're celebrating that down through the years, the Lord's been good to us. Oh, how awesome he is. Listen, I wanted to record this video because I want to share with you what the Lord has been speaking to me since last year, but very loudly since this year began. For 11 years, we have been intentional about ministry, intentional about what we do and how we do it. But we've also, over time, become a mile wide and an inch deep. Now, what does that mean? That means that we have been trying to impact in a lot of areas. And although our motives have been pure, we have to be intentional about what God is requiring and calling of our church to do. COVID-19 has been a process, a strenuous process. It's been a challenge. And I won't call it a blessing because some people have lost loved ones as a result of this virus. So I dare not downplay the impact it's had on them. But there have been some eye-opening experiences that have taken place as a result of COVID-19. Like every other church, our church was forced to shutter our doors for a period of time. We never imagined on that 5th Sunday of March of 2020, that would be our last Sunday convening as a local church for such a long period of time. And although we had a live stream team on Sunday mornings, it was few in number. And you miss just the camaraderie, congregational gathering that we have become so accustomed to. But I'm grateful that the Lord sustained us. And in the midst of that, God began to show us other ways to get his word out. We were able to create our live stream platform in an excellent manner, not using cell phones and iPads anymore, but really investing in our technology and therefore going to 5 platforms to be able to share the message of Jesus Christ. 7 a.m. prayer call on Wednesday mornings where it began, and the Lord has still been sustaining that. Wednesday in the Word began in the sanctuary, and now it's still happening, albeit all virtual. We're still able to get the word out. I'm grateful to God for so many other things that have taken place during this time. It required of me and of us to be innovative, not to water down the message, not to make up excuses, but to allow the Holy Spirit to lead us as to how we can get the word of God to the people of God in any manner. Listen, I want all of you to come back. I do. God knows I do. I want to return back to how we used to worship before the virus. But I'm also not naive. Many of you are just not comfortable with coming back for various reasons. For some of you, this virus has you very, very fearful, and therefore you prefer to worship virtually. I understand that. For some of you, you're not worried about the virus. You just have become so comfortable and content now with doing church virtually that you're going to keep that versus getting dressed on Sundays and coming to church. For some of you, it made up in your mind that over these last 17 months, doing church virtually has become convenient for you. You can do so many other things on Sunday. It's not the virus that's keeping you home because you're still traveling. You're still grocery shopping. You're still going to work. But just on Sunday mornings, you decided, I'm not going to the building anymore. I can get the same word in the comfort of my home in my pajamas. And then there are some where you are going to press your way to the building because you want to be in the fellowship, in the sanctuary. That all creates a melting pot. It is my pastoral charge and responsibility that regardless of which one of those categories you fall in, I am still, matter of fact, the ministers, we are still required to preach the message of Christ as if everyone we're ministering to is right before us. And guess what? You are. Although I can't see you and we can't see you, you are there. And so in our study, we don't water down how we study because it's going to be more online than in the sanctuary. We're going to be found faithfully studying and proclaiming the message of Christ that will not change. And so listen, I understand that we are a hybrid church like others. We're going to have to always have an online option available, and we will, but also have in-person service available, and we will. This is our new normal, but guess what? It's our normal. And so, as a result of that, I want to say a few things to you about it. I can't tell you when the virus is going to end. I can't tell you when we'll get back to what we knew as church, but I will tell you, I don't want to go back to how we used to do things. It became too convenient and too comfortable. We did not have an appreciation for the presence of God. We were just church attendees used to coming on Sundays. I don't want that anymore. I want to be intentional. There's that word again. Intentional about our worship, intentional about our gathering, intentional about our ministry's impact. That's been my prayer all of last year and this year as well. And the Lord has spoken. And I'm being transparent with you. Do I miss seeing you? God knows I do. I miss seeing every one of your faces, hugging you, shaking your hands. I dearly miss all of my youth. I really, really do. And parents, please know that when you're not coming, that means your children are not coming. And their Christian education is of utmost importance to Pastor D. So I'm asking you to be prayerful about that, because we want to make sure that we're still impactful in how we're reaching your children. Can we be doing more on our end? Absolutely. Will we be doing more? Absolutely. I'll be giving a charge to our youth leaders to be doing more in this area. We can and we will. But we also need your help, parents. The same way your child's school needs you to be engaged at home, we need you also to be engaged in bringing your children to the house of worship so we can feed them. Now, as I've been praying over the last 17 months, definitely over the last 7.5 to 8 months of this year, I've been talking to God and asking God about our church as we prepare to go into year 11 of our ministry. And I don't want to just be a church that's on a corner with a nice edifice. We're just having good church. I want to make sure that we are advancing the message of Christ through the actions that we're supposed to be. And I've heard God clearly speak to me 2 words. And those 2 words I want to share with you. Effective immediately, Bible-Based Church Tallahassee will become a ministry that's focused on these 2 words. Those words were in-reach and outreach. In-reach and outreach. Now listen, I aforementioned, and I want to say it to you again. We have always done things with a pure motive, with financial integrity. But what happens is when you're doing these things, my heart is to be a blessing to not just our church, but our community and our city. And as a result, there are times I find myself agreeing to be a part of things that are great causes, but that may not be our assignment. And so I'm not saying that we won't occasionally be a blessing to things that are happening around our community, but I am saying to you that we have to tap in now to what the Lord is telling us to do as a local church. So how do I define in-reach? In-reach is making sure that the needs of the people of Bible-Based Church Tallahassee are known and being met. Yes, known and being met. Now listen, you can't get mad at us for not meeting your needs when they're not known to us. Now what does that mean by in-reach? That means make sure that our food pantry is always properly stocked so that when people need benevolence from the church, we're able to supply that need. Making sure that everything we do in the 4 walls is centered around meeting the needs of God's people who are a part of this ministry. Christian education is important. That's Bible study, that's Sunday school, that's also the preach word, but making sure that we are able to meet those needs and feed the people, right? In-reach also means that we're making sure that our youth have what they need to be able to grow in God. There are some who don't come from 2-parent households. There are some who come from a fixed income, and so there are certain resources they'll need that others may not. They may need school supplies and backpacks, and they may need help with certain school expenses. That's part of in-reach. We want to make sure that we are helpful. Now listen, we can't do everything. We can try our best to be a part of the blessing team, and we will. We will do our part because we're required to do our part. Now, there are some people who may see this as a chance to take advantage of the church. We'll discern that, and we'll make sure that we deal with that. But we're not going to punish people of Bible-Based Church because we're worried about that 1 or 2 people who have impure motives and ulterior motives. In-reach is making sure that this church is intentional, there's that word again, about meeting the needs of those who call this local church their church family. So we're going to say no to some things. Things within our walls that we've always done for no other reason than we've always done it. Bishop Paul S. Morton Sr. calls tradition frozen success. It means that you've always done it the same way and you had some success at the beginning, so you keep doing that. But it doesn't mean that that's God's order or God's design. It just means that you found pleasure in doing it. We want to shift out of that mode. We want to make sure that what we are doing is glorifying the Lord and is meeting the needs of God's people in this church. And so you can't get mad at us once again if we don't know. But if you've made us aware, we're going to make sure that we are intentional about inreach, that we are touching the heart and the lives of God's people. Make sure that the food pantry, again, is properly stocked to meet the needs of people. Make sure that we have enough grocery cards and gas cards to be able to help you get to point A to point B, helping you keep your refrigerator stocked, your cabinet stocked, because it's hard to fully grasp, digest, and live out the word of God spiritually when you are naturally hungry and going without. We want to make sure that we are able to help provide resources, or connect you to resources that may help you advance in what you're trying to do. We want to make sure of that. That's what inreach means, is the church leadership team being very, very clear and focused about helping you, our God's people. Second word God gave me was outreach. And we do a pretty good job about outreach. We've done Big Bend Cares, we do the Gibbs community, we do Oak Ridge Elementary School, and we, for the most part, continue to do outreach. We're going to be way more disciplined. Now, what does that mean? We've adopted Oak Ridge. We're going to continue to be a blessing to Oak Ridge Elementary School. We've adopted the Goodwill Gibbs Village. We're going to keep doing that as well. Those are things we thoroughly enjoy doing. And guess what? The people that we impact, they're so appreciative. That won't stop. But Big Bend Cares may not be our assignment anymore. We've done that for many years and had a great time doing it. But over the last year or so, we haven't been doing that. And guess what? We really hadn't missed it. And so what the Lord is telling me is that with our outreach, He wants us to be clear about what we're going to do. We're going to do Oak Ridge. We want to make sure that we're helping the kids in this community with their academic success. We're going to help out Gibbs Village because there are people over there who are disabled, who are in need. We're going to be a blessing to them. Because guess what? They're in our community. And we don't want to be in this community and not be able to be impactful to this community. But guess what else God is saying about outreach? Our homeless and our hungry community. Yes, we have just begun a ministry for homeless and hungry. We're going to make sure that we are doing what we can, 3986 Woodville Highway, to be able to be a blessing to those who are homeless and who are hungry outside the four walls. Now, you don't have to be homeless to be hungry, but this ministry is designed to be able to bless both populations of people. That means leaving outside the comfort of the air conditioner and going into the highways and the byways. It's going out there and displaying the love of Christ in action. It's making sure that we are putting our church's finances behind this ministry, that we may be a blessing to the people out there. That's providing them with meals on a regular basis. That's providing them with grocery cards on a regular basis. Providing them with proper hygiene products on a regular basis. Making sure that we are not just doing random acts ever so often, but that we are designed and disciplined. We don't want to be that church that only does this so the press can come see us. No, we're going to do this with no fanfare at all. Our first event's going to be on August the 28th. We're going to basically do a block party for the homeless in our city, to be able to provide them with food, be able to meet them naturally, and also minister to them spiritually. But guess what? We're not going to do this with fanfare. Our church is going to go out there and love on the people. If they join our church, great. If they do not, that's okay as well, because our heart is to go. Jesus says in Matthew 28, 18, 19, and 20, go ye therefore into all nations. But guess what? Our assignment is to go, not to stay. When the saints go marching, not in, but out, we have to go out. And outreach is required of us. So again, we won't be doing everything. We won't be going to every event and being a part of everything. And we sometimes going to say, no, we can't do that. And not because we're better than anybody else. That's not our assignment. It's not our assignment. There's too many churches. Regardless of population, there's too many churches in our city for only a few to be doing everything. We want to make sure that our impact is direct and is godly. So we're going to continue to be a blessing to Oak Ridge, continue to be a blessing to Gibbs Village, but also now we're going to go a little bit higher and do way more to help out and combat homelessness and hungry in this community and in this city. We're going to make sure of that. And guess what, y'all? It's going to be expensive to do, but I'm excited about it because the Lord said, I want you to now start putting the resources behind the direct assignments of the church. That's both in reach and outreach. We're going to do that. There's going to be some times I'm going to ask you, yes, you, to be able to be a blessing financially to this, greater than your tithes. I'm going to be asking you at time, will you please sow a sacrificial seed into the homeless and hungry ministry? And I can assure you of this, whatever you give toward that ministry will be used for that ministry's work in that area. It's not going to anybody's personal pockets. We're not going out there to buy personal items for ourselves. No, 100% that comes in will go out for that ministry. Here is my phrase. You can't unknow once you know. And we know there are people who are hungry. And guess what? Some of your coworkers may be in this category. There are children who go to school and they're hungry and they can't focus. They don't have behavioral issues per se. They're hungry. And it's hard to focus when your stomach is empty. And so we want to make sure that we can do what we can while we can to be a blessing to people of God on an intentional basis. So, ladies and gentlemen, hear me now. I'm never going to ask you as an individual person to write a check of a large amount. I never have done that. I'm not going to do that now. What I am going to ask you is, can you please commit to giving toward this effort? It may be one canned good. It may be a check. It may be a cooked dish or a baked item. It may be something. But I will tell you this. We've seen this over 11 years. When we give the best of our service, telling the world, you know the rest of it all. Now, I'm telling you that, ladies and gentlemen, if you just commit to giving something toward the cause, guess what happened? God will multiply what's given and be able to feed the multitude. I'm excited, y'all, because God is shifting the foundations and shifting the direction of our ministry. We're going to still make sure that the word of the Lord Jesus Christ is preeminent in our ministry. That does not change. We're going to still make sure that we are loving on God's people. That will not change. But in reach and outreach, being more intentional about what we do inside the four walls to meet the needs of God's people, and being intentional about what we do outside the four walls, meet the needs of God's people. We are God's image bearers. And so therefore, we have to be more concerned about what we see. And I hear some of you, so let me go ahead and address this. Yeah, there are some people who hustle and scam through the homeless population. I get that. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's not my problem. That's not my priority. That's not my focus. Will we get taken advantage of? We probably will. I'm not going to let that scare me off from doing what thus saith the Lord. We have work to do. And those who take advantage of our good heart, the Lord will take care of that. But guess what we're going to do? We're going to be about our Father's business. 11 years, y'all. It is the Lord's doing. And it's marvelous in my eyes. Let's get excited. Even if you haven't come back to the sanctuary, if you call Bible-Based Church Tallahassee your local church, this video is for you. This assignment is for you. And the shifting is going to impact you as well. Let's get to work. Let's do our Father's work. Do our Father's business. Don't get mad when you hear no, because that no may mean we just can't do that because, say it again, it's not our assignment. But that what God is telling us to do, we're going to be about doing that and doing it very, very well. To my youth, you remain my top priority. We're going to make sure that we are doing right by you forever. I'm so proud of all of my youth. So proud of you. I haven't seen a lot of you. That's okay. I still pray for you regularly. I love you dearly, and I'm so proud of you. Bible-Based Church Tallahassee family, I'm closing this out by saying this to you. We've got a great work, but we serve a great God. And he's already equipped us and will continue to do so to help us do this work for the kingdom and for his glory. Let's get to work. God is great and greatly to be praised. Happy anniversary. Year number 11. Let's have some fun. And remember, don't just be blessed. Live blessed. I love you, dear.